Okay, hi guys. So, yeah, like I said, we were going to talk more about interracial relationships today. And today we're going to be looking at pearly, just pearly things, conversations with women, and particularly it's like three black women. But it's all about, let's talk about interracial relationships, okay?
Anything like now in hindsight, now that like the whole organization has come out as a scam?
Um, what do you mean? Sorry,
The Black Lives Matter
Yeah,
organization.
like they're in hot water right now. You haven't heard?
I didn't hear about
The organization, like they found out the leader of the Black Lives Matter was like keeping the money and not even giving it to the victims.
Paying for like a really expensive
Yeah, and saying that it was a business cost, her mansion that she lived in and like threw parties. yeah, and like so I'm just curious. In hindsight, now is it different because talking to the
really, not really, because like the Black Lives Matter movement for me goes past that woman, like completely. So it hasn't really changed for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't agree with what she did.
Go on, girl. As you were gonna say something.
No, I was just curious because it just seems like if that was a big issue in your relationship, like it would be less of like hindsight being 2020, like knowing that was a scam, maybe it would be less of an issue now. That was my thought.
Yeah, I'm also quite a historical person, so I just like to bring up the history a lot. I like to watch a lot of films and things like that, and I realised that made him uncomfortable a lot of the time. He was like, why do you always bring this? Because it's just things that I'm into and I like to talk about, and I want someone who's like-minded to have these discussions with.
So it kind of sounds like you just wanted someone that more like politically that aligned with you.
Yeah.
So would you say it was more politics rather than like skin color? Because if you were dating a guy that like was white and he didn't have an issue with you talking about it all the time, then it would have been a different result.
Yeah. But I still I still would prefer to date. I think.
Are you more attracted to black guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like preference.
You're more attracted to black guys now, or were you always more attracted to black guys?
I think I became more attracted to black guys when I moved to London. I didn't grow up I went to a predominantly white school, predominantly white college. My uni when I moved to London was in northwest London. Like, you know what northwest London is like.
Are you attracted to them? Sorry, are you attracted to them more now because you see yourself more in them now?
Yeah.
Okay. That would make sense.
I'm telling you, there was a lot of self-hatred growing up because, like I said, I was labelled as a coconut from a young age for the music I was into, for the taste that I liked, just...
It's a lot of self-hate. So you mean to tell me, like, and this is the problem with black people, okay, and black women in particular. Why do you need to ascribe to a monolith? It's okay to like other things that, mainstream black community don't even like listening to or even try experiencing. If those are your experiences and that's what you grew up with, why is it self-hate? I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood too. I had a white friend. I went to a private school and that was full of, all different sorts of individuals. I did notice that my mom had switched private schools and sent me to Villa Madonna. I don't know what that was for, but I did notice how when I got transferred to Villa Madonna, it was a Catholic school. There was a lot more white people compared to my first private school. Maybe that had to do with a little bit about our culture she didn't like and didn't want me picking up on bad behaviors. But that does not mean I have self-hate. And this girl probably should, I didn't even know that there was such thing as Coca does. I used to get called Oreo all the time. But this wasn't until I came into foster care and I came around black people who didn't like when other blacks would ascribe to something outside of their culture. We were seen as different. So, like, it's not self-hate to like things outside of your culture. It's not self-hate to like other cultures and what they do and what their experiences are. Like, shut up.
People don't always align so many things with being black, so...
That's one of the things I find, just to say that, like, people think that black is one monolith thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, black people can't be conservative, black people can't support Trump or black people can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, and all these kind of things. So I think black people need to realize, and I think part of the problem why people have such a problem with interracial relationships, I've always said, as a person, you can love who you want to love, do what you want to do. I think when people generally, I can't tell people how to live their life and how to love, like, and I don't put myself in that position to do that to anyone. But I think one of the reasons why a lot of black people have a problem with interracial relationships is because we believe that we're one thing. Like, we believe that there's a textbook of stuff that you've got to tick to be black.
Can you give some examples?
Like, black people can't swim. Black people don't swim. Black people, like, seriously, this is some of the things you hear. Like, what else? Black people wouldn't have voted for Trump, right? But they did.
He got the largest percentage of the black vote from any president in like a really long time. That was a Republican.
And I think go further, bro. Go.
So being black also means white people can't do your hair. Like as a ballpark, like we had a big conversation the other day. Is the food is too spicy, or it smells when you're in the office.
Wait, when you say hair, do you mean like they can't like copy our hairstyle?
No, as in like they can't came with your hair. You definitely 100% can't go to most hairdressers in this country.
Oh yeah, like as
like 99% will just they'll tell you.
Yeah, but how does that factor into like interracial relationships?
So like your child, like they're not gonna comb their hair. They're not gonna know how to moisturize it, shampoo it, condition it. They might not know about shampoo or conditioner.
Do you not think that's something that can be learned?
It is.
I would hope that if like someone's having an interracial kid, they would be willing to go above and beyond to learn that for their child.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
Just go to a primary school and you will see otherwise.
You can just look at how the children rock up to school.
Oh Lord.
But I think, isn't that more that person's choice of suitable candidate? Because I can talk for me. I'm half Asian, even though I identify as black. And growing up, my mum went the extra mile. Like, she knew how to do my sister's hair. She knew how to cook jollof. So isn't that your choice in a suitable partner rather than them being of that race?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that on so many levels. So when it comes to interracial relationships, or at least this is what I thought, this is the only reason why I would, why I honestly preferred to date interracially. I really didn't have a choice being in computer science. I mean, like, most of the guys in there are not black, so I'm like, either A, I can stay single as fuck and just get cobwebs down there, or I can, venture outside, learn something, learn a new culture. So if there was a particular guy that I like and we started talking, I started looking at things of their culture that they like, or looking at things in their culture that they normally do, things that they prefer to eat. If they are French, okay, maybe I'll learn some French languages. Maybe I'll learn a little bit about their French history. If they're Indian, okay, let me learn a little bit about Indian history so I can have a conversation. It's because I'm really genuine interested in that person and their culture. But I don't think a lot of people, when they date interracially, understand the nuances in order to keep the relationship alive. So they just get into it mainly because it's dick and pussy and they just want to have some fun. But this is the reason why you have instances where kids don't look presentable when it comes to their hair and they're going to school, because these individuals just got together, pop out a kid, but they didn't take the time to really understand the culture in which the person that they're dating. At least that's what I think. But I love, like, even though I'm a more hard science individual, I do like, out of all the social sciences that are out there, I do like anthropology. Anthropology is very different because it requires you to blend in with the group of individuals instead of just taking an opinion or giving your opinion from outside looking inwards, like most social sciences do. Anthropologists that, if I'm not mistaken, with me liking sci-fi, there's, if anyone's ever seen Battlestar Galactica, Hilo, the guy who plays Hilo, his dad was an anthropologist, and he decided to marry a woman in Canada who was an Inuit, and the reason why is because he was doing He's an anthropologist who was doing a book about it, and wanted to really immerse himself in the culture and understand them more. And what came out of it, he got a marriage and beautiful children. So it's those individuals who, you know, go the extra mile to make these relationships work. Is because they're genuinely interested in the cultures that they're getting involved with. For instance, I loved Irish guys, and mainly because of in particular, I used to watch river dancing, Michael Flatley, the Celtic language. I loved everything that was about, you know, Irish. Even the harp. Like my mom was very, how can I say this? She wanted me to be more cultured outside of just my own culture. Don't get me wrong. We ate the fried chicken. We did all the soul food. We listened to Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin, Earth, Wind, and Fire. She definitely was no slave to making sure I knew about my culture. But she heavily invested in me learning about other cultures as well. And I think it was to prepare me when I was going to be on my own, and not, bring myself down and always blame, the white man for something. I think she was very methodical in raising me that way for a reason, because I don't have the mentality that so many blacks have conjured up. Not to mention, when we came into foster care, I saw how my two sisters, like, their mentality definitely did shift towards white people, because they were hanging out with the low lives in the black community, and it definitely it messed up their lives. It made their lives turn out not for the best. My one sister, she's doing a lot better now, thank God, but it took so long for her to see the damage that was done to her by aligning herself with a subset of our community that wanted nothing good for her, just envious, just didn't care, oh, you ain't never gonna go anywhere, you're never gonna go anywhere. And then, oh, when she does go somewhere, oh girl, I knew you was gonna make it. But then as soon as she fell, they're right there to say, now you belong with us. So it's like, I understand now why my parents raised me the way they did. And if I ever have kids, I will raise them the same way. Nah, fuck that. But anyways, going back to interracial relations, I do think that's what he's saying. His mom went the extra mile because those are her children. She wanted to know, she wanted to know.
The aspects you're speaking of.
True. No, definitely. That's a huge part of it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have the stigma, at least with black men at the moment, because I feel like a lot of black men haven't picked great partners.
Yeah.
Equally, I also think that they haven't necessarily had a choice. We live in a world where, at the end of the day, women have a choice on whether they keep the child or not, whether they send it to adoption or not.
How do men not have a choice in their partners?
That's what I'm interested in.
No. It's more a case of, like, they're not the first. If it's the first person you've ever had sex with and then you have a child with them, understandable. But if they're not the first person, that means you've done it before. You know about condoms. There's female condoms. There's contraception for both men and women. If you don't use any of that, and then you now come to a point where you're pregnant, and you have a conversation with your partner, or you don't have a conversation with your partner, then if you don't have a conversation, you're not giving a person a choice of whether they're in that child's life or not, or if that child comes to the world.
You just lost me a little bit there.
Okay.
So, you said that men, or black men, often don't have a choice in who they date.
No.
Or who they make a baby with.
No, I guess what I mean by that is the point. The kind of
you said a
point
lot
made
of black men have chosen wrong.
Yeah, the kind of point made is that you've not necessarily chosen the best partner.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make is most people aren't necessarily choosing their partner. They're having sex with people and then ending up with children.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're making the choice to be irresponsible.
Yeah.
They're making the choice to have sex and then
do it irresponsibly.
Both parties at the end of the day.
So they're not thinking about bringing a child into this world who's gonna grow up and have issues with, like, their hair texture or
where they're living.
Yeah.
So they're not even planning for it.
Yeah.
See, that's how I think most of these relationships and how these children tend to come into the world. It's because of irresponsibility. They meet that's just my opinion. I mean, how many people these days are getting married and then or having kids after they get married and actively planning this out? not that many, at least not in the Black community. It doesn't go that way. I don't see that many Black women, married and, with, plan to have their children. I can name one of my friends who act Black friends, and that was in the military actually. She met a guy, and they planned and they had their kid, and they're living good, and they're in the middle class. So that was with plan and preparation and doing a deep dive into not only themselves but also their partner. So they chose really good, and they're still together to this day.
Not making that choice.
It's just bad man procreation.
Yeah. I think what I'm seeing is, as you're saying, they're making a choice to be irresponsible, but ultimately, whether the child is born is down to the woman. Is the point he's trying to make. He does once the sperm is left, it's down to the woman. If she doesn't want to have that child, she won't have that child.
All right, it's much more on the woman, because we have the option of birth control, we have the option of abortion. Like we have all these choices where men don't.
Well, abortion is the main one,
Yeah, but at the same time, like he still made a choice to not wear a condom.
Mm-hmm. Knowing the consequences,
Yeah.
So when it comes to interracial relationships, do you think that it's mostly Black men that choose to date outside their race? No, at all.
What country?
You said, ooh.
What country are you talking about though? Because
in the Western world.
Because you're talking statistically in the UK.
I wish I could find. I can't find.
I've got. If you let me get my phone, I can send it to you.
I think that.
Yeah, that'd be great. You can look it up.
In my opinion, more Black men date outside of their race than Black women. Just want to say that.
And okay, I can tell you the stats in the U.S. It's like 85% of Black men date in their race, but it goes up to 30% date out when they make over a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, wow. You see them NFL stars always. Someone else.
Yeah. So it's like if they make a certain amount of money, it ups to 30%.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that?
Yeah.
Is?
Why?
I'm gonna say it. Black women have a stereotype that have overshadowed the eligible Black women who don't fit into that stereotype. And therefore, instead of a Black man rolling the dice and seeing whether or not this girl is going to fit that ghetto ass stereotype and not be grateful for everything I give her, they will go somewhere else to another subset of women from a different culture that they know will be appreciative and not give them the headache that the stereotypical Black women who happens to be significantly more, which have been significantly seen more in society than those who are just timid or not just timid, but just feminine, timid, and vulnerable. We don't see that being displayed as much. So I believe that's the reason why when Black men get to a higher socioeconomic background, unless they knew a Black girl that they grew up with or were sweethearts with in high school, they're not going to want to chance that. And that's just my opinion. It might seem a little harsh, but I do think a lot of Black women have fucked it up for those who are nowhere near the stereotype of stereotypical behavior that they display. That's just so largely seen in society and just glorified on the television.
When it gets to that tax bracket, do they date out?
Well, to me, it's like because in the U.S. at least, I have no idea what the stats are here, but I think when men get money, they want a pretty little skinny thing, and like they want the hot chick, and statistically, Black women in the U.S. are more obese than other races. So, like, to me, it's just more of them aren't in shape.
You don't think it's a race thing? You think it may be a shape thing?
Yeah.
It's a shape thing. It's like, I don't think it's a race thing at all either. I think it has to do more with the women, yes, physical, mentally, and emotional aspect of that woman. And, like, we've just been displayed as just hard women, hard to get along with, difficult to get along with, even though that is not the case for all of us. But who the fuck wants to roll a dice on a culture or picking someone from a certain culture when damn near 75, a very high amount percentage of those women are just displaying just masculinity? Why?
What do you think, ladies?
I don't think it's a shape thing. I just feel like I don't want to say that. Say it.
Say it.
Because no, I need to word it correctly. It's just like when you start getting higher up with the hierarchy in terms of like the CEOs and people like that, you start to see less and less black women. So the black men who are in that hierarchy, they're obviously going to date outside of their race.
Well, that's true.
There's black women generally.
But then aren't black women more educated than black men in the Western world? So they would be more in that quote unquote hierarchy.
Underlooked, so they're not necessarily the ones who are going to be promoted.
Education.
I thought they were the most enrolled. I don't think they're the most educated.
Sorry, the most enrolled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think education dictates class.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I don't think men really care that much about education.
No.
Like again, like when I talk to men, they tell me they want fit, feminine, friendly. It's like those three things. And so to me, education is just like a shoe collection to us. It's like nothing. But if you say she got a fat ass, they're like, who?
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. Like that is so true. And like she hit on something that, like, think about it. When a guy might be sitting around playing his video games or whatever on his little, or just looking at his phone, and you're just saying, yeah, I got this and this and this and that, or look at this girl, oh, she has this degree and she has that degree. You think that's gonna make a man like, oh wow, she must be so great, she's so hot? No. But when when you see an attribute with a guy say, oh, she's pretty, of course a guy is then gonna lift his head up and be like, who? It's so true. So there is a lot of truth to it. Pearl just said, and what the girl just spoke over here, where the higher you go up in the hierarchy, you tend to see less, black women. It is so true. The same thing with black men. So that's why you're just left with, I wouldn't call it settling, but it opens up your possibilities that, hey, if you don't want to be alone, you probably should date outside your race.
But that's the thing, like, to me, like, in the U.S., it just seems like it's more of like an in shape thing.
So we're going to uni for nothing then.
No, you're going to uni for you. Yeah. You forgot.
There is actually a US stat from John Berger where he actually says the trend has actually flipped within this century, that women are actually becoming more educated than men in terms of relationships and the average relationship. They're saying so they're actually going to seek higher education over men. That doesn't necessarily lean over to pay, because some men may leave school straight away and go learn a trade, or may become a recruiter while women go and work in education.
Right, because women don't pick industries that make a lot of money. We pick easier jobs than men.
That's what Jordan Peterson talks about. That's why he believes the pay gap is it doesn't actually exist.
It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist.
Okay, yeah. So with that. Thanks for tuning in. I did want to say one thing. Okay, so I do prefer to date outside my race, and honestly, I think it's ever since I was a child. I definitely watch a whole bunch of black shows. All the black shows that were out, I loved watching. I did find some, black men attractive, but it wasn't until I saw Miracle on 34th Street. I didn't know what attraction was as a child, but Dylan McDermott, something about him. I think it was the eyes and the dark hair and the his olive skin at that time that really attracted me, and so because of that, I know what I like. I prefer to date outside my race, and I would get so much shit. I would get so much shit about this, saying that as a black woman, that's just my preference. Not to say that I wouldn't go on a date with a black guy, but or even like play around with that possibility of even marriage with a black guy. But for me, my preference is I prefer to date outside my race. That's just me, and if that happens to be you, there's nothing wrong with that. But until next time, thank you for watching my video. Until next time, share, like, and subscribe, and have a good day.